Hi guys, it's Julie. Welcome back to the Scrap Zone. We are starting March and week number 9. So let's get started. I'm going to, of course, use this little stamp set, but not quite this week. I'm going to bring back this one here for the months, and then I'm going to bring back my trusty keyboard uppercase alphabet. So here are the sketches. I'm going to use this one right here. So let's get right into it. So here you've got one large piece of cardstock. You don't need a full piece, and I might regret using a full piece, but we're just going to go with it. I'm going to add some pictures, and I had a few pictures this week. So first thing, I finally got a haircut. And then last night I was actually a guest designer on the Craft Roulette, and I'm going to link that information down below. If you don't know what the Craft Roulette is, we make cards with 4 parameters and we just have a lot of fun. So I will link my episode and you can see what all the fun is all about. So let's get back to this layout right here. So of course I had a few pictures, so I'm going to pull out my trusty flip-flops. I'm going to bring back these really nice borders here, and I use the Desert Rose glitter paper, and just like that it glammed up that page perfectly. So from that same series, you've got this little stitched border, and I haven't used it, and I thought, why not on this page right here? So I'm going to run it all around this 6x8 page, and because I've got a piece of pattern paper right in the middle, even if I have a little bit of a junction, because it's not 8 inches long, it's not going to show. So I'm going to sneak it here with washi tape, and I'm going to make it flush with the top. I'm going to run it through my die cut machine, and there you have it. It looks like I spent tons of times stitching that piece of cardstock, and you can't see where, like, there was a bit of a junction in between, but you can't see it because it's covered up with this piece of pattern paper. I'm going to add a little bit of ink here, and this is actually the cardstock I'm using is Heather, so if you still have that ink, you can go ahead and pull that. I didn't seem to have it in my stash, so Mink worked just as well. So I'm going to start gluing this down. So I'm leaving like a 1/4 inch border just to show the white, because this particular paper pack that I'm using has a lot of white in it. And if you don't want to use the pink, see this backside here? This is actually really pretty as well. But I want to use the pink or the peachy color, so I'm just going to flip that over. I'm going to try and position that right in the center of my page to the best of my ability, and there you go. So I'm going to add this picture right in the center, and as I said before, I had quite a bit of pictures, or I had 2 things I wanted to document this week. So this little picture here was sized, and I didn't want to resize it, so I just added that piece of cardstock to make it a true 3x4, and it gave me that opportunity to add that little stitched thin cut, and that's what it kind of got me going on putting it all around the page. So sometimes happy accidents will turn into really nice little details on your page. So this wasn't quite long enough. I'm going to pull my liquid glass. I've just transferred it into this smaller bottle because it is quite cold here, and it kind of does affect the liquid glass. It doesn't flow as well. So that's why it's in that smaller bottle. So I'm going to add just a little piece here. So I pieced it, can't even see it, and I'm going to do the same here at the bottom because it's not quite a true 6 inches. And I don't have anything to hide it, so I'm just going to add a little piece at the end, trim off the extra, and no one will be the wiser. I'll keep that one for later. Who knows? I might want to use it. So here I'm going to stamp the month of March right at the bottom. And again, if you have Heather ink, that would be great. But here I used, I think I used either pewter or charcoal, and it worked just fine. I'm going to stamp my little weeks using, what did I use here? I think I used almond ink. So I'm going to go ahead here and I'm going to pop those on the side of my picture. And I did have some journalings. I went ahead and I actually journal, or I print my journaling on I use a 4x6 piece of cardstock, and I just shove it into my little Epson printer, and I set it to paper and I just print them all in there. So you saw here that I removed some of the excess glue from the back side of that little strip. And I am using the blue Tombow, I guess it's the mono adhesive glue, and this one here kind of slides a little bit better. You have a little bit of time to maneuver your pieces, so I kind of use that for these tiny little pieces. I'm going to do the same here with my weeks. I'm going to add just a little bit of that glue, and then I can just wiggle it right underneath that photo mat, and it's really good for those tiny little pieces. That looks about right. Alrighty, so I think we're done here. You know what? I think I want to add a little bit of bling. And I'm not going to put in a big title, so I'm going to pull this liquid pearls here. Now, words to the wise, this is the last thing you have to do because it takes a little bit to dry and you don't want to mess it up. So I'm going to try not to mess it up because I tend to not give it enough time to dry. But if you this is a good time to go for coffee or have lunch and just let this dry all the way through. So I just want to show you here that I'm going to pop that into my book once it's dry, and I'm going to add my flip flap right on top of my page protector. It's just so much easier than cutting through, and I knew that I had a few pictures. So here's the completed layout, and again, if you want to see that episode of the Craft Roulette where I was a guest designer, come join me and my friend Mary, and we had a really good time last night. So have fun watching that video as well. Like always, thanks a lot for following along, and don't forget to take pictures.